Welcome to Shorty SuperCoach and welcome to another player profile. Going to talk about a man who I don't reckon was discussed much at all leading into the pre-season, but after an impressive showing against the Swans has put himself on the radar, and that's Tom Bell. Really impressed against Sydney with some inside work for the Lions, only off half a game's work, which was very pleasing as well. So what do we need to know about Tom Bell? Well, for starters, he's 287k in our forward line, and as we well know, at the moment, the forward line is looking a little shallow in terms of talent, particularly on the rookie side of things. So I feel if there's an area of the ground that we want to bat deepest, it's probably the forward line. I think a lot of people will be looking to have someone reliable at F5. I don't think we can afford to go too light on in that forward line compared to the back line, which at the moment there is a plethora of good options at that rookie price, even just a little bit up. There's some more impressive youngsters like Caulfield and Norton as well. So the forward line at this point doesn't seem to be offering that at this stage. So Tom Bell, what did he do the other week? Well, he was really impressive. Had the 17 touches, 11 contested, 6 clearances from 50% game time. So that's really, really impressive. And he is a big unit. 188 centimetres, and he's listed as 102 kegs. I know he's a big unit, but I was surprised when I read that. So clearly, he is a big-bodied midfielder. And granted, James Beams didn't play, but you know, Zorko was there. There were quite a few others, and Brisbane do have a reasonable midfield. It was only the other day I was talking about Christensen, and I brought up Bell because potentially I feel one of those two guys could fill a hole in F5. At this stage, I'm certainly in the Bell camp. I was with Christensen for the entire pre-season, but given that midfield time, is that Fagan saying, Tommy, you're our man in the middle, you know, we need a big body there. Obviously, Zorko and Beams are the cream, they are the leaders in there, but the likes of Mitch Robinson and Tom Bell, you know, sort of your battering ram types, just hard in and under players. Maybe that's the role he's going to take on. At 287,000, you know, we could definitely see some quality numbers. I sort of compare a little bit to Cam Ellis-Yolmen. I discussed him briefly on another video. I can't remember where it was, but you know, there's similar sort of prices, similar sort of players, those big-bodied mids who haven't quite been able to cement due to body issues and things like that. But I'll tell you what, if Ellis-Yolmen was in our forward lines, we'd be talking about him much more, and Tom Bell is definitely worth talking about. So a few averages over the course of his career. 2012, of course, a former Blue. 64.4, 64.1, 63.9. Then the big one, you know, 3 sort of standard years, then 89.6 in 2015. No coincidence, it was his first and only full season. He played the 22 games. Then the last 2 years, really struggled with injury. 69.2 from 14 games and just the 58 points from 6 games. And even those first 3 seasons, 7, 7 and 13 games respectively. So he has struggled to get out in the park. So clearly his body is an issue and has let him down. But at this stage, he does look a reasonable choice. So I must say, he's come right into calculations for me. I think he's a guy that we've got to strongly consider for a number of reasons. Not only his own performance, he's underpriced, but the fact that forward line is screaming out for a solid option at F5. There are a couple of options there presenting themselves. Some may even look to bat fairly deep premium-wise with those forwards. That's something I'm considering, taking out a defender in my premium status and sort of just swapping it in the forward line. I'm not exactly sure who I'd take out of the back line, but certainly someone like Michael Walters, who you would have heard me pump up just the other day in a player profile. He's a man I'm strongly considering to perhaps help us out with that lack of forward line options. So that's something we've got to think about, and Tom Bell is definitely worth considering. I'm not exactly sure when I'll schedule this one, so Tommy may well have played. We might be waiting to see how he goes, but monitor him closely. Watch him, see how he goes or see how he's gone, and then we can really make that choice. Because if he backs it up and has another really strong performance with those sort of numbers, in and under contested ball numbers, well, you know, you've surely got to say he's got to be strongly considered, because he's no walk-up start to that Brisbane forward line, or Brisbane midfield, I should say, because previously he has found himself playing as a forward, a bit of a different role, but I think his best footy as has shown in that 2015 season, is as an in and under midfielder, winning the contested ball, using that big frame of his. So a couple of good pre-season games could be enough to see him find that spot and perhaps edge himself in front of a Christensen, or just edge out a lighter build McCluggage or a younger Jared Berry. Just for the moment, it could be Tom Bell's position. And if it is, it's not beyond him to average around 90, because he's done it before. He'll get opportunity in the midfield, and he's a mature age player. You know, he's pretty much in his prime of his career. I'm not exactly sure how he's going physically. I haven't tracked his pre-season. I didn't see any sort of injury concerns, but sometimes players start later than others and it goes under the radar. But, you know, he played the first JLT. That's sometimes all we can ask. And if he plays this weekend and plays well, then that certainly bodes well for his selection in our SuperCoach side. So let me know where you're at with Tommy. I think he could be someone that we really do consider. And interestingly, he just came onto the scene off the back of one JLT match. Sometimes we have guys who we monitor. Sometimes there's guys who surprise us and just from nowhere put their hand up and say, "G'day, consider me." So I think Tom Bell may well have been one of them. But let me know your thoughts on him. Let me know your thoughts on how everything's going with the channel. If you've got any ideas on what I could be doing, I wouldn't mind some input into what you guys want through the season in terms of where the interest is at. I think what I've often found is that through pre-season, the numbers are really good. So much interest, people picking their sides, and naturally that's the peak interest for SuperCoach. But I just probably want to tap into exactly how to best do it through the season. Maybe it's having a video earlier in the week approaching some of the big issues that we face. Clearly I'll have my press conference still, and I think I'll still have a weekend preview looking at the teams and things like that. So maybe it's something along the lines of an earlier video while people are thinking what they're going to do, having a video rather than waiting to the week or the end of the week. Or maybe it's some form of a Q&A. You know, I probably would be signing myself up to an extreme amount of videos if I did all of those, but maybe it's just getting a few questions that you guys have out there and even answering 8 to 10 per week. I'm not sure how many I'd get, but potentially might have to limit it depending on time issues and things like that. But that's something I might consider as well. But let me know if you guys have any requests on what you'd like to see through the season. Certainly in the lead up to round one, we'll have plenty more player profiles, bit of structure talk, really nailed down on a few of these final selections, and a lot of people be weighing up and tossing and turning over this guy or that guy. We'll delve a bit deeper, certainly in those, sort of 10 days leading up to it once JLT finishes and we've really got a full sample of what everyone's dished up. We'll really hone in on that exact sort of stuff within your team. So thanks for tuning in. As always, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video, comment away, all the usual stuff. So thanks again. Cheers.